Welcome to another episode of Wake Up America, Wake Up, a channel that challenges the status quo and encourages critical thinking, a channel that believes in patriotism, the Constitution, the Holy Bible, and the rights of the American people, we the people. While some may disagree with our perspective, we strive to awaken the American people to the reality of the world around them. Our goal is not to incite hate, fear, or violence, but rather to promote unity by helping individuals understand the issues that impact their lives. We encourage Americans to avoid blindly following causes or ideologies. Instead, to remain informed and engaged citizens. Civil war is approaching. I've been considering this matter for a whole while now, but it might already be close to breaking out before the 2024 elections. Consider the recent events at the Texas border, where over 300 military adult-age males tried to force their way into the United States, while the Texas National Guard seemed incapable of stopping the rush that was broadcast nationwide. This should awaken you to the possibilities of a civil war. A war not only with a foreign invading army of immigrants, but the government permitting this invasion to continue to take place. We should question if it's necessary to arm ourselves to protect our families, homes, cities, and country, as the government seemed unwilling to address the situation. Apart from making concessions that enable the influx at the southern border, disregarding the existing immigration law, the violence inflicted on American citizens and their families, and even the assaults on law enforcement officers. Let's delve deeper into this topic during the Civil War is Coming podcast. The year is 2024, and the United States stands at the precipice, teetering on the edge of a civil war that threatens to tear the nation apart. What began as simmering discontent and political polarization is escalating into a full-blown crisis, fueled by a deep-seated grievances and years of unresolved tensions. The catalyst for the impending conflict comes in the wake of a bitterly contested 2020 presidential election. Allegations of widespread voter fraud and electoral manipulation cast a shadow over the legitimacy of the results, igniting a firestorm of outrage and protests across the nation. A perfect example is the January 2021 riot, which was conveniently dubbed an insurrection, but in truth a well-thought-out plan with the intent of disqualifying a very popular presidential candidate and the disenfranchising of the American people. As dissent and political debauchery continue its revelation to the American people in the wake of an open border policy that is promoting an invasion into the United States, we will witness protests erupting in major cities and small towns alike, as the country finds itself divided along ideological lines. Red states, blue states, urban centers, and rural communities are each entrenched in their own beliefs and distrustful of the other side. Politicians bickering and maneuvering in the halls of power, unable to bridge the gaping chasm that separates them. Attempts at compromise fall on deaf ears as partisan gridlock brings the machinery of government to a grinding halt. Amidst this political chaos, extremist groups backed by democratic ideology and backroom funding by George Soros are seizing the opportunity to sow chaos and violence. In addition, political and social factions on both the far left and the far right are taking to the streets, armed and emboldened, ready to wage war in the name of their respective ideologies. And the potential for skirmishes to erupt across the country, the fabric of American society will begin to unravel. And communities are fracturing along racial, ethnic, and ideological lines, tearing apart the very fabric of the nation because politicians on the left and the right have broken the solemn oath to defend the Constitution and the very citizens it protects. And caught in the crossfire are ordinary Americans, families torn apart by loyalties to opposing factions, communities torn apart by violence and fear. The once proud ideals of democracy and unity seem like distant memories, overshadowed by civil strife. In the face of such darkness, some refuse to surrender to despair. Brave individuals from all walks of life are standing up against the tide of hatred and division, risking everything to uphold the values that had once defined their nation. And these same individuals are the targets of a weaponized justice system emboldened and instructed by the current administration to create an atmosphere, an environment of fear, division, and chaos by enforcing laws that benefit the current corrupt administration and the politicians in support of it from both sides of the aisle. And as the conflict escalates, the future of the United States hangs in the balance. Will the country succumb to the forces of division and destruction, tearing itself apart in a bitter power struggle? Or will it find the strength to rise above its differences, forging a new path from the ashes of this conflict? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The scars of America's latest civil war will run deep, leaving an indelible mark on the nation and its peoples for generations to come. If not dealt with swiftly, our foreign adversaries will be waiting in the wings to exploit a weakened United States, which we are well aware has been the case as corrupt politicians and a corrupt presidency have demonstrated and proven the sale of influence to further promote the power of a political base while leaving death and destruction in the wake of American lives. Folks, when examining historical events, a significant aspect of human history is the wars that have been fought for various reasons, such as the pursuit of justice and freedom, or the desire for power and greed and influence. Wars like World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War have been driven by economic, social, and political motivations, often orchestrated by dictators, tyrants, and influential groups. These individuals exploit these factors to plunder a nation's resources or create discord amongst its people, ultimately installing a regime to rule. The resulting civil unrest is a natural consequence of such manipulation. The current administration in the United States, led by President Joe Biden, has been instrumental in dividing the American people since his inception. The division has been fueled by individuals like George Soros, who has manipulated political campaigns and promoted globalist ideologies that threaten the sovereignty of this nation. The puppet masters behind the political establishment have orchestrated a plan to weaken the country. As we navigate these tumultuous times, the United States faces a precarious situation where potential division, social unrest, and escalating violence threaten to ignite a full-blown civil war. This potential conflict can be seen as a struggle between two factions. The one side striving to uphold the Constitution and safeguard the freedoms of the people, and the other side compromising those who have forsaken their oath to serve the nation, colluding with a leader who places the interests of an invading force above the welfare of its citizens. Ultimately, this battle is a fight for the soul of the nation, with both sides vying for control. And we have to avoid civil war because those who are going to fight it are the U.S. citizens, the American people, we the people, who have been struggling to set right and to ensure that our constitutional rights are protected versus those that want to compromise it for a dollar, for power, for greed. So I am not inciting violence. I am not inciting fear. What I am inciting is that we, the people, use our critical thinking skills to get this country right, to put the right people in the offices of the government that swear an oath to the Constitution and actually keep it. Because if not, we're going to end up like a lot of those countries in history that have fallen prey to dictators, that had fallen victim to socialism, to communism. As the United States heads towards civil war, the political issues are both systemic and immediate. And the crisis is both long-standing and escalating. The American political system has become so overwhelmed by anger that even the most fundamental tasks of governance have become increasingly challenging. The legal system loses its legitimacy and with each passing day. Trust in government at all levels is plummeting. Or like Congress, with approval ratings lingering around 20%, cannot plummet any further. Right now, elected sheriffs openly encourage defiance against federal authority. Right now, militias train and arm themselves in anticipation of the republic's collapse. Right now, doctrines of radical, unattainable, messianic liberty spread across the internet or on talk radio, on cable television, and in shopping malls because of the anticipation of a civil war that is pending. Look, the United States today, yet again, it is reluctant to confront the possibilities of such a conflict. The border crisis in Texas has added to the political tensions, but it is not the sole cause of the potential for a civil war. Factors such as political divisions, economic instability, regional conflicts, and social unrest can increase the likelihood of a civil war. But this is not a predetermined outcome. Various factors can still prevent such conflicts, and it is up to governments and individuals to work together to address these, not through complacency, not through fear-mongering. It is essential to promote a constructive solution and dialogue to prevent the possibility of a civil war and maintain peace and stability. Nobody desires the impending chaos, but few of us are willing to confront the reality of what is to come. In the lead-up to the first Civil War, the most astute the most knowledgeable and the most devoted individuals in the United States failed to foresee the looming conflict. I am a critical thinker like you, and what I am doing is engaging with you with the reality, with today's reality in America. The question is, what are you going to do about it? We need to wake up, America. Wake up.